Hello, and welcome to my review of Save the Cat Writes a Novel. Now, normally in the past I've just done fiction novels, so this is my first foray into non-fiction, and yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it. Spoiler, I like this book. Um, anyway, okay, Save the Cat Writes a Novel. So what's it all about? It's first of all, it's primarily about teaching you how to have a structure for writing a novel. So when I was, and it wasn't too long ago that I was a novice writer. Sorry, I'm just going to bring it a bit light. Um, and I'm still a novice writer, but so when I was thinking of doing my debut novel, I was hit by completely, no, intimidated by the idea of writing 85,000 words and how on earth am I going to do it? How's it going to make sense? And all that. And maybe it doesn't, and maybe it's all rubbish, but what I found helped me in the writing process was this. This gives you a brilliant skeleton, a brilliant template, a brilliant framework for writing from. It doesn't actually force you into that. That's up to you. But what it does do is it kind of says, okay, look, here's stuff that's been very successful for an awful lot of movies, books, etc., etc. Why don't you have a look at how they made their products work and see if you can do similar. Okay, so anyway, let's have a quick look at the book. So, Save the Cat Writes a Novel, the last book on novel writing you'll ever need by Jessica Brody, based on the books by Blake Snyder. Now, I've not read any of Blake Snyder's stuff, so this is my only real understanding of Save the Cat. But okay, it's what did I find with it? Now, first of all, it introduces you to, effectively, what this does is it says, here's the beats, here's the genres, I'm going to teach you how to pitch, and any frequently asked questions. So it's basically that. It is, and also the hero, as you can see there, it's got the hero. And the hero is this someone worth writing about? Is this a main character worth writing about? Is this a set of main characters worth writing about? The beats is the 15 beats in the novel, and we'll take you through those in a minute. The genres is, I would say these are not really genres. Jessica Brody calls them genres. I don't know if Blake Snyder did, maybe he did as well. But what they more are is sort of story plots, archetypes, I guess. So the hero's journey, that kind of thing, the buddy movie, that kind of thing, rather than calling it sci-fi, comedy, etc., as it says there, drama. The pitch is really useful for after you've written the book, where how you go and tell people about the book, in a logline, in a pitch, in a small synopsis. So yeah. Anyway, okay. Things I love about this book. I love these little panels, for example. These make it easy to see what's going to happen in this. As you can see with this one, she goes through various novels, various films, saying this, breaking them down by how Save the Cat would see them, as a beat structure, as a novel structure. In this first chapter, she talks about what makes a good hero for a novel. They've got to have a problem, they've got to have a want, they've got to have a need, kind of thing, and then they have to have a theme, really, to the whole novel. So forgiveness, love, acceptance, faith, fear, trust, survival, selflessness, responsibility, redemption. I certainly I use one of these in my novel, and yeah, I find it's so important to have a theme, because then it keeps you coming back to what your hero or heroes are trying to achieve, even if they don't know it, which they probably don't to start with. Okay, this is a good exercise, and this is typical of what goes on in this book. Who's the hero of your story? What is their big problem or flaw? How is this affecting the hero's life world? What's causing this problem or flaw? And she makes you ask lots of questions about your characters, lots of questions about whether this is going to make a good book in the first place. Okay, yeah, and this is great as well. You have like little checklists of that you can obviously, I guess, print out or copy, and ask yourself the question each time you do a novel. In fact, I'm currently writing a novel, and I've started without going through this, but I'm going to go back through this and just make sure that I am answering these questions, because they're very important. Okay, the beat sheet. So the beat sheet is the key to the whole thing. It says basically, look, these are events that are probably going to happen in the novel. They're not defined as specific things, but they are specific beats, i.e., dramatic plot lines, I guess, dramatic beats of the narrative that shifts the direction of the book or major events in the book. Okay, so so seeing it here, you've got opening image, themes stated, and you can see she gives percentages for each of them. So basically, this is great when you're a beginning writer. If I know that the opening image should be 0 to 1% of, 85,000 words, I can plan to do something like 850 words on this to maybe 1,000 words at most, for example. Then you do the theme. You kind of is it at 5% of the book? Yes, it's probably around there. The thing is, this is not strict. You don't absolutely have to be totally on these numbers, but you can be roughly around these numbers. And as a debut novelist, as a novice novelist, it's very handy to have these there, because you kind of can judge, well, am I spending too much time in this bit? And maybe, well, let's say this is just for a first draft, though. Maybe later on, if your story makes more sense to spend more time in this bit, you can then go and do it. But you've built the frame using this brilliant framework to start with. Like catalyst is the next one, debate, 10 to 20%, and she also shows that how they break into acts, traditional acts, act 1, act 2, act 3, beginning, middle and end, and all that. There's a lot of other bits to this, and this is the crux of the book. You need to understand what you should be doing in these particular beats. There you go, there's a diagram of it exactly. So roughly what you should be doing here. And the idea is that it builds up drama, and it does generally build up drama. You have to go here, go into catalyst, and midpoint, and everything is going horribly wrong here, and then everything resolves. You don't obviously have to do that, but it's good to have that structure there for you. Okay, this bit gives you a little bit about what is expected for particular genres. I love this stuff, vital information that I probably didn't know that I needed to know, kind of thing, before I read this. And now, obviously, I know that it exists, and you go on Google. Before all this, I didn't even know that there was sort of, you have to write specific amounts, or it's expected that you write specific amounts for specific genres. Okay, catalyst, debate, break into 2, and she goes through all the bits and says, well, this is what the bits you need to cover, and goes into depth of how you should cover them. What's the B story? So the B story is, sometimes like a romance plot, a B plot. Fun and games. Fun and games is the bit that everybody says, well, this is the middle of the novel that everyone's a bit gets a bit bogged down in, apparently. But I think this helped not to get bogged down in, because it allowed you to get there, and then you knew that, okay, you're exploring the theme, and just do more and more stuff exploring the theme and make it interesting, and then you've got your B plot as well that you can do, and all these bits of structure, and you knew where you were going as well. I think that really helped to make, or really helps to make for a decent story. Okay, you got more fun and games, midpoint. Right, I'm gonna move out of this because otherwise I'll be here all day. These various chapters here, they go through. Okay, let's go to here actually. First of all, genres. Okay, so what she says about genres is, as I say, I think this is not really genres. This is more story plots, like the hero's journey. So here you've got a why done it, rites of passage, which is basically, I think, the hero's journey, similar to that. Institutionalized. Yeah, I mean, they are slightly different. That's certainly the truth. But this is what she or Blake Snyder has identified as the genres that you need to be looking at within Save the Cat writes a novel type structure. And then for the actual genres, you can set any of these, for example, within science fiction, or within fantasy, or within romance, and that's kind of how it works. You have this builds the beats, and the setting is the genre that you will see in Amazon on the shelf. Okay, I'm going to quickly go back. So then she takes you through all of the various different genres that she's created there, and says how the beats will be fulfilled in these genres, or how likely they are to be fulfilled, and how you can kind of expect to do it. So in other words, she says, well, okay, if you've got a superheroes thing going on, it's going to be a different catalyst to a buddy movie or whatever kind of thing. Okay, and then right at the end, hang on a sec, I'm just going to go to pitch. So just accept that there's lots of genres in there. And then you go to the pitching bit, which I think this is great. It teaches how to write a logline. It teaches you how to, let me see, let's have a look at a logline. On the verge of losing her home, an out-of-work alcoholic who frequently blacks out becomes entangled in a missing persons investigation. But when the man she's convinced is guilty is released, she must confront her inner demons once and for all before the key suspect turns his sights on her. And that's apparently The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I've not seen that, but yeah. So I have seen The Martian. After getting left for dead on Mars by his crew, a cocky astronaut figures out the impossible, how to grow food on a barren planet. But when all of the crops are destroyed and his supplies are running out, he must solve the biggest problem of all, getting off the planet before time runs out. So basically she says, look, there's a structure to this. You need to do on the verge of stasis equals death. A flawed hero breaks into two, but when the midpoint happens, they must learn the theme stated before all is lost. So in other words, she says, here's a log line, here's how to build a log line, and you do it using the beats that you've already created in the story. So like, it's great. You can then go and pitch it to somebody, or you can put it on the back of the book, which is the short synopsis. She teaches you how to do a short synopsis, which is effectively a longer log line. And she says, okay, the way you do that is Paragraph 1, setup, flawed hero and catalyst, 2 to 4 sentences. Paragraph 2, break into 2 and or fun and games, 2 to 4 sentences. Paragraph 3, theme stated, midpoint hint, and or all is lost hint, ending in a cliffhanger, 1 to 3 sentences. And this is the kind of thing you would put on the back of your book. So that you can, or in the bit in Amazon where you're kind of, the blurb, effectively, where you're selling it as well as the cover. The cover and that are the big selling points. Okay, and that is pretty much it. She goes through a bunch of FAQs, and I think they're really helpful as well. Yes, she tells you how to structure it in a visual way, which I think is really good. So if you've got Scrivener or just anything really, you could visually look, this is how you're going to put, this is the kind of thing you're going to see for the making the beats happen visually. Yeah, here, put it on your wall or whatever, put it on a whiteboard, away you go kind of thing. This is probably how best way to organise it. I don't kind of work like that, so I never use that, but yeah, that's I think it could be a really good thing if I had many more plots. Okay, yeah, she takes you through a bunch of other FAQs. Okay, I think this is a great book. I found it so helpful as a novice novelist. I found that the structure allowed me to create a compelling story, I think, and it still allows you to. It doesn't. The one thing that people worry about is does it hem you in? Are you forced to do certain things? You do the beats, but the beats are naturally there anyway. When you write the story, to make a story interesting, to have a beginning, middle, and end, and to have the drama escalate, which is what happens with stories, you basically have those beats anyway. You know those beats, even if you don't know you know those beats. So I don't think it hems you in. I think it gives you a great structure, and then that's for the first draft anyway. So after the first draft, I think you can go back, and if you think a beat is not working, or you think it doesn't need as much as Jessica Brody has said, then you just change it. And indeed, for me, for example, I changed one of the beats to be a lot less than it than is kind of implied in this. Because it didn't really fit my story perfectly, because I'd had another twist that I wanted to use. Anyway, so this is the author, Jessica Brody. I think this is a great book. I fully recommend this, and I give it 5 out of 5. Okay, if you enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you with the next review, hopefully not quite as long in between, and maybe it might be fiction, might be non-fiction. Anyway, take care. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.